Hey, what's up, guys? Kris Cantu here with the Red Pill on steroids, and I wanted to put together this quick little periscope to talk to you about the concept of duality. Um, in this world today, it's either like you're on one side or the other, right? You're either for the Democrats or you're for the Republicans. You're either for the Cowboys or you're for the Redskins. And for example, the two-party system, it perpetually keeps people fighting. You have the Green Party or the, whatever it is, Gary Johnson Independent Party popping up, and they're such a small piece of that puzzle. Clean that screen there. And what I really wanted to go through on this Periscope was just some examples of the concept of duality and how often that we see that in our day-to-day lives. I mean, you can even look at saying like yin and yang. You see that circle with the black and the white, and it's two pieces that are equal, and one piece is nothing without the other. So even in our common world, the best example is men and women. You have to have men and you have to have women. Women would be nothing without men, and men came from a woman would be nothing without women. So they're equal. They're not. Well, they're not equal. They are complementary. Okay, they're not equal because each brings their own thing to the table. Especially with men and women, you can't call them equal. You can call them complementary, and one does not exist without the other. Taking it back to biblical times. I mean, Satan versus God. Is like Satan is the bad and God is good. So. These themes throughout, human existence have been reoccurring over and over again. And, I think that's where, in our everyday life that we get caught up in this concept of duality. Another example would be legal immigration versus illegal immigration. This country, this great country that we have, was built off of legal immigration. You had people from Ireland, from all these different places in Europe, Italians and just French and people from Africa, people from the other side of the world, the Chinese coming here for the labor, obviously the black people coming from Africa on slave ships. All these people came here one way or another. And was the basis of the founding of this country. And when George Washington and all those, Thomas Jefferson and all those guys got together and wrote the Declaration of Independence, they had in mind that we are going to be a nation of immigrants, and we are going to base this country on freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom to bear arms. And what we have today is illegal immigration. You have all of these people coming across the border that don't want to integrate. They don't want to uphold the values of freedom that made us great to begin with. So how on earth can you compare legal immigration with illegal immigration? They're diametrically opposed. They're dualistic. They both exist. One would not be without the other. But how do we rectify that? People want to open our borders. There's going to be people that don't want to integrate, that want to harm, what they see, as far as freedom, and convert freedom-loving Americans to their own law, like Sharia law, from what you'll see. So, I think part of that is the concept of freedom versus slavery. We want to be free here. Other cultures, from where they've been from for hundreds of years, operate under a condition of slavery. So they are diametrically opposed, and we need to realize that, and realize that if we let all these people in that aren't following the true values of what it means to be American, that our culture, our foundation of this country will erode and will implode. And that's what I'm fighting for to prevent, and that's what other people are fighting to prevent. Let's bring it, maybe a little more local. When you talk about BLM and you talk about the cops. Yes, we live in a police state. Yes, the religion of authority is rampant. Everyone believes that, uh, because someone wears a badge, that they have God-given rights to rule over, those without a badge. Politicians, we vote these crooked politicians into power, and people are under the false assumption that the rule of authority, that they are somehow blessed with these great powers, superhuman powers, to be able to rule over us. And the bottom line is that, they're not. They're human beings just like us. So the bottom line is we live in a police state. So when you take that to, let's say the Black Lives Matter movement, yes, we live in a police state. Yes, it is an unjust and unfair. And when I see a cop walking down the street, I'm trying to avoid him as much as possible, because I know that we live in a police state. I know that he could just come over here, start messing with me. Maybe he's having a bad day. Maybe he's hopped up on steroids, and maybe he's gonna, try to fuck with me. And maybe I just, I'm gonna be having one of those days and be pissed off, and maybe I'm not gonna put up with this shit. I know this, okay? But then you look at the Black Lives Matters movement, who's funded by George Soros, funded by the Justice Department. They are stirring up the race pot here, and using the fact that we live in a police state to kind of mar the lines between what is right and what is not right. And so you see Paul O'Neill, this kid, I guess he was in a high-speed chase in Chicago, stole a car, took them on a high-speed chase. You see these cops with their body cams filming this event and just taking him out during this high-speed chase in a residential neighborhood. And so on the one side, yeah, we live in a police state. Like, cop pulls me over, I'm going to be scared for my life, because I know that he has the authority and the power to just kill me out of nowhere. And then all of the police unions and his police chief and the media will all cover it up to make it look like I was the instigator, like I was, the one that had it coming to me. And so in essence, the BLM, on the one hand, they do have a right to be angry and be upset, as all of us Americans do, with the police state that we live in. But at the same time, you look at the Corinne Grimes, I believe it was, earlier in the week, and she was literally using her child as a shield, and these cops, SWAT team came in, and they killed her, but she was using her child as a shield. And then you see the videos where she's handing the kid the camera and saying, "Who is that?" "That's the cops." "And what are they here to do to you?" "They're here to kill you." And so, that's where that dualistic line is marred, and it's spun. And the people that are out there that are ruling us, they understand psychology, they understand human nature. And for those non-thinkers out there, the people that can't really comprehend the concept of duality and know when they're getting played versus when they're not getting played, they're going to fall into that mind control trap of believing that, oh, well, yeah, I mean, she was innocent and she was a soldier and she was a martyr, but not, seeing both sides of the equation and then making, the decision up for themselves. I'll give another example with, with Islam and all of these quote unquote Muslims committing terror attacks. I mean, if you take it from the highest level, a lot of it's being staged by countries like Israel and Saudi Arabia and even our own shadow government through the CIA. So that's like at the top level. But then if you take it down, at a different level, I mean, the United States military has been bombing the shit out of the Middle East since the 1990s, since the early 90s with Bush #1. And so, take of it this way, like maybe I'm from here, maybe I'm in another country, and these motherfucking Americans come and I'm born, in this country. It's not my fault that, I came out of my mom's vagina in Afghanistan or Iraq or one of these fucked up countries. But let's say, I'm born into that country, and then all I see for 2 decades in a row is my country being bombed, and all these, United States soldiers that are, mind controlled to follow whatever they say in the military. They're kicking down my neighbor's door. They're kicking down my door. Remember Abu Ghraib when they had those pictures of all those prisoners getting tortured? Like, let's say that was me, and out of nowhere someone came and picked me up out of my home in the middle of the night, took me to some fucked up prison that was dirty and nasty, and then tortured me for basically just being alive in this country. Yeah, I'd be fucking pissed. Like, I would want to go off and do something about that. So what we fail to see is that all of the terrorism and the threat of Islam and all of that, a lot of it's being manufactured by companies like companies like Google and Facebook, but countries like Saudi Arabia and Israel, and they're playing all of these groups off of each other. They have massive think tanks that are funded by the billions of dollars, like the Tavistock Institute, that are manipulating and pulling the strings of all of these countries and people, and they're using social media outlets like Facebook, Google, whatnot in those countries to start revolutions and to get people hype off of that fact that they make them feel like they're being oppressed and needing to go out and commit these things. So same thing with BLM, right? I mean, you can stir that race pot, you can stir it up. People that I talk to on the street here, they're not racist. They're not, looking to, be assholes to someone just because of the color of their skin. I mean, that's just normal, everyday people are not racist. They're not, they're not out to hurt anyone else. It's the stirring of the pot that makes it that way. And, we got to understand the concept of dualism. You have to be able to see both sides of the equation and make the decision up for yourself of what you want to believe and, what side you want to be on. But if you're just wholly on one side and not considering the other side or why this is all taking place, then you're really not taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture. And I think that was the point of this, this broadcast, is just to make you guys aware that, there are people that know psychology very well. They know human nature very well. They've been studying for hundreds and hundreds of years, and they know how to get people to fight one another based off of things like race and religion and all of these things that really don't matter at the end of the day. So that's the concept of religion. If you guys agree, disagree, whatever, feel free to leave a comment in the section below, and we'll get back to you. All right, guys, Kris with KrisCantu.com, the red pill on steroids. Hit you back tomorrow with another video. Peace.